Who is Augusto Boal? And what has he done for theater in the realm of education? In this PowerPoint, we are going to explore his many methods, particularly with the theater of oppression.
Augusto Boal was born on March 16, 1931 in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. He is known as a theater practitioner, drama theorist, and a political activist. He studied at Columbia University in New York. The critic John Gassner introduced him to the techniques of Bertolt Brecht and Konstantin Stanislavski.
In 1965, Boal began his career with the Arena Theater in Sao Paulo, where he was the artistic director until 1971, during which time he developed his theories and works. This first play he directed was Of Mice and Men by John Steinbeck. This piece and Boal earned him the Direction Revelation Award.
At the time during his career at the Arena Theater, he began to draw influence from the pedagogy of the press by Paulo Freire. This influence led him to also experience the technique of newspaper theater, which became a success in his book Theater for the Oppressed.
His works led him to be a controversial figure amongst the Brazilian government, further having the government arrest him and put him into complete exile for the next 15 years. During that time, Augusto was able to publish a book called The Theater of the Oppressed, where he mentions 3 different styles of activist theater. In this book, he had the most impactful work of his career.
Considering the climate of when Augusto started his career, his main goal was to use the newly founded methods to help express and share the oppression of people that did not have certain advantages in society and help them feel connected to performances on stage.
This book, Theater of the Oppressed, is a progression of dramatic examinations and investigations that was first evolved during the 1950s. Boal was on an ordained alley of utilizing intuitive procedures, particularly with regards to theater. Huge numbers of his thoughts are considered as another media point of view.
Boyle made a theater form called legislative theater to offer citizens the chance to voice their concerns and opinions. The goal was to open up a discussion among residents and its governments so that there is a progression between this relationship. Boyle considers this sort of authoritative cycle a transitive democracy.
His biggest concept he developed in his works was the theater of the oppressed. It started in the 1970s, first in Brazil and later on in Europe. Boal was inspired by the theorist Paulo Freire.
Boyle's techniques use theater as a method for advancing social and political change in arrangements, initially with radical political issues, and later with centered social beliefs. His theater experience was about how to better society and its political views.
With the success of his published works, Augusto Boal organized an opportunity to practice his theory in Paris, France, with many Theater of the Oppressed festivals that were held in practice for from years to come, practiced all the way until the mid 1980s.
With the peak of his success in 1986, Boyle returned home to Brazil to establish a workplace to continue his work for the Theater of the Oppressed in Rio de Janeiro, which also became a success in Europe later on, especially in Paris, France.
There were many branches of the Theater of the Oppressed. Those branches include the Image Theater, Form Theater, the Invisible Theater, Newspaper Theater, Legislative Theater, and the Rainbow of Desire.
Some of Augusto Boyle's theatrical process requires an unbiased character to be at the center. This individual is normally called a facilitator. In Boyle's writing, this job is usually referred to as a joker, regarding the neutrality of the joker card in a deck of playing a game of cards. A lot of Augusto Boyle's theatrical process requires an unbiased character to be at the center. This individual is normally called the facilitator. In Boyle's writing, this job is usually referred to as the joker, regarding the neutrality of the joker card in the deck of playing a game of cards.
The image theater is a form of acting in which actors create a picture in a pantomime-esque fashion, recreating moments of people's oppression or moments in history in public. A phased picture is an engaging plan or a gathering shaped in front of an audience by the entertainers. The chief makes stage grouping and to introduce an image for the crowd.
Forum theater is a technique used in theater of the oppressed. It identifies the commitment of spectators, affecting and engaging with the performance as the spectators and actors named spect actors, with the ability to stop and change the presentation. In forum theater, there is always an interaction between the spectators and the actors.
The invisible theater is a form of performance that is usually held in places that are considered to be non-traditional. For example, the street, the library, or even a college campus with an area filled with students.
In 1992, he followed up with another book called For the Actor and Non-Actor. In this study, he mentions numerous exercises and techniques helping the actor get in tune with their mind and body, while further exploring his study of the theater of the oppressed.
With Boal's international reach, it has led to theater of the oppressed to be recognized as much more than just a theory. All the way from Brazil to New York City, this intrinsic style of performance is still studied and appreciated even more or so on a global scale.